Hello, and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile. This is a show where we get to talk about sports, we get to talk about business, and we get to talk about everything between. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, you know exactly what to do. 5-star review on Spotify, like and subscribe on YouTube, 5-star review, and say something nice about me and my friend over on Apple Podcasts. Today I got Chris Gotti Lorenzo. He's the co-founder of Clash TV and the founder of the Clash Pro League. Chris, how you doing,
Yes,
man?
Michael, thank you for having me. This is great.
Pleasure is all mine, man. I'm excited to get to talk to you. A pro sports league coming up and
Yes,
about. Excited to hear about it, man. But the first
in New
question I have
York
for
City.
everybody,
Imagine that in New York City, in the
I'm
Big
excited
Apple.
for it. But I got one question before we get to Clash, man. I've only done this podcast like 385 times now. But the first question for everybody that comes on the show is, why do you love sports so much?
Man, first of all, I was, you grew up first. I grew up in Queens, Hollis, Queens. Big family, 8 of us. My dad taught I got 5 sisters and 2 brothers, and he taught all of my sisters how to play all the sports from basketball, baseball, football. They would be out there playing football, my sisters. I got 5 sisters. They knew how to throw, catch, bowling. We did everything, sports family. And the love of sports went from there, man. It never left. The competitiveness, I'm super competitive, so that's something that drives me. I used to play football. I didn't play basketball except for, see, I'm old. I'm 57. For me, basketball back then, like when people talk about, did you play basketball? Of course I played basketball, and I was very good. Um, but I didn't take it serious. I was just playing basketball, and my neighborhood, we grew up in Hollis, I had some of the best players come from out of there. A guy named Seth Marshall went to Fresno State. Ronnie Eford went to Marquette, and me, my brother Irv, and then we would pick up a player or two, and we would gamble. We would go around other parts of the city and play for money, and we won a lot of money. So I'm going to say we was very competitive, and we was very good. My brother was very good. He played at Van Buren High School. I could give you his story because it was kind of funny. He played against a high school called Hillcrest in Queens. He's playing against a guy named B.J. Carter. BJ Carter was lightning fast, and Irv couldn't keep up with him, and that was the day he ended his hoop dream.
There you go.
He said, if I can't keep up with, how am I going to make it to the NBA? But Irv played against like Lloyd Daniels. He had a really good career in high school. It should have stayed more focused, but we went on to do a lot of other things outside of sports and very successful. So, it was God's plan to do what we did.
I love it. Well, hey, good for your brother. At least he came to the realization, right? He wasn't holding on to the dream for too long. I'm realizing if he couldn't keep up with a guy named Lightning,
Yeah.
probably not too much of a chance to go D1. But
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, New York City it's a basketball town, man, right? Like it's always talked about. Anytime the Giants or Jets are good, it's a football town. Anytime the Mets and Yankees good, it's a baseball town. But the Knicks are always bad, and the fans are always crazy. It is a basketball town. One of these days, man. One of these days they'll be
One of
good.
these days.
And one of these days, we're going to see what it's like. Because even when they win one playoff game outside of MSG, that place is bonkers. So I'm
It's
not a Knicks fan, but I
unbelievable.
want to see it.
It is unbelievable how the excitement that the Knicks generate from just a win in the playoffs. I'm a lifer on the Knicks. Bernard King days is how far I go back. And I mean, the heyday was when Patrick Ewing came in, let's say, and that team, that physicality that we had, the toughness. We would score 80 points and win by 5 and 10 points. Good luck today in that world. And that is part of the league that I have. That toughness is what I want. That's what I feel is missing when I go through my league, for my version of my league for the sports in basketball.
Yeah, well,
You know,
let's talk about that then. We don't need to talk about the Knicks; they get enough publicity. Yeah,
yeah.
where does the idea, like, obviously everybody wants to play professional sport. Most people want to play professional sports at some point in time. You realize, hey, if you're actually the owner of a team, you probably make a couple more dollars, but that's not here or
Yes.
there now, right? So where does the idea for the Clash Pro League come from? It is a professional basketball league in New York City, potentially about to expand. But where's the idea?
Yes. The truth of the matter is this is a long time. There's a guy named Greg Maris. He started Rucker Park. He passed. He had cancer years ago and passed. But me and Greg, in the heyday of Rucker Park, talked about we should do a pro league. So these things have been talked about for decades. I'm 42 years in street basketball. with Rucker Park and now Dykeman Park. Ken Stevens at Dykeman and Greg Maris at Rucker, and I helped both of those parks ascend to being the best in the business. So I watched all these street ballers play in these parks, thinking, why wouldn't there be a league for them? And I know when you hear street ball, you may think and one, which is fine. They just made and showed the world the power of street ball. Street ball is a coveted, probably the second most coveted professional game to watch. If you didn't watch an NBA game, you would love to watch a street ball basketball game. Michael, I would tell you to come to Dykeman this summer if you're free as my guest, and I will show you exactly what I mean. You will feel the electricity of a New York City, a New York Knicks playoff win in the park for a regular game. This is what you get, and this is the brainchild of why I wanted to make that league. I felt if the world got to see and feel that electricity of those games inside of street ball, we would have an incredible league. So what I had to do is, let's say, kind of change the NBA rules to my street ball rules, really, which is the NBA original rules, which is man on man, right? No zones. I just that's the basis. I tell my refs I want a more physical game. I don't want tic tac fouls. I want it a little more physical, and it's one on one, no hand checking, but it's one on one, and it's a lot more physical game. We also did a running clock, which is a lot different from an NBA game, but it also proves out the fact that these guys are prolific scorers. My leading scorer averages 27 points a game in a 10-minute running clock 4-quarter game. If I ran it like the NBA, he'd average over 40 just because there's more time for him to get more buckets. That's easy. And in other plays, we averaging 40 and 30s as well. That's how talented these guys are. You're dealing with players when you go to the park. You get a chance to watch NCAA leading scorers that play now in the park. They just didn't get an opportunity to go to the NBA, or if they did, it was a short-lived time, and they got kicked back down. There's only 450 jobs in the NBA. The rest, if you got to go overseas, and if you talk overseas, it becomes a agent issue. If you don't have the right agent fighting for you, there's limited jobs over there. And you just think of all of the pool of players that come out of the NCAA every year that have nowhere to go. These are top-notch athletes, and I'm giving them now the opportunity with the CPL, which is right in Harlem.
I love it, man. Good for you. And it sounds like it's a little more fast paced. If it's a running clock, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of lollygagging, a lot of waiting around. The ball goes out of bounds. You're getting in as quickly as possible, right?
And we can still get over 100 plus points. So that
That's wild.
when you think of the NBA, they changed the rules in order to get more points to entertain, and they did it. And then now it hit to a point where now the NBA, in my opinion, as much as I love it, and I'm not trying to compete with the NBA, but I do get a chance to take a look at them and say, what are their great points? Because they are the absolute best product out there. I make no mistake about it. That's what the NBA is. But what's their flaws? What can they do better? And a big challenge for me is salaries. So when you give someone 50 million, $100 million guaranteed contract, how many showing up to work? That's just the facts. This is human nature. It's like you made it. So the elites still show up to work and practice and do everything, but that's only a handful of those kind of players. The rest is really lollygagging, and they're gonna go hang out. They're gonna show up because they want their check, but they feel like they're a boss and you can't tell them what to do, and all of those things, all of that kind of problems come along with that kind of money. And I want the players to make the money. It's just how do you protect to make sure you still get the product?
No, yeah, that's a very good point, right? Because if the players deserve the money, right? They're the ones on the court. It's always like, who do you want the NBA is going to make $70 billion or whatever it is.
Right,
Do you want
right,
half of it to go to the players and half to go to
right.
the owners you don't know or care about? Like, I
Sure.
mean, yeah, okay, at least at
But
50-50
you know
split,
what
but
else I say? It's more they hurt the fans. Look at these guys. They low manage. They don't show up. They're the ones that's paying so they can get the money along with those TV rights.
mhm.
My ticket prices are insane, and I can tell you my Knicks story with what's the owner there? What's his name?
James Dolan.
James Dolan. I literally sat next to him for 7 years. And I used to sneak in the garden. So I gave him my sneaking in the garden to make being successful enough to actually buy 2 floor seats right next to him at about 3,500 a seat, 7,000 per game. And I said, we had a shitty product out there. And I told him, we gotta, he didn't say a word. He just looked at me. Right. And I said, I will never be back. And I haven't been back to the floor seats in the garden since because it was so disappointing that it's so expensive. And we had a shitty product out there on the floor. And it's disappointing as a fan. Like, we can't do better in the biggest city right here. How can we not attract better talent? How can we not manage that better? And I told him I won't be doing this no more. He just looked at me. He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word.
Yeah,
7 years, he spoke to me once.
he doesn't sound like a very good person, so that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I've never met the guy, so I can only say so much, but we've all heard enough
I'll
James
just
Dolan
say he's
stories.
weird. I won't say I don't know him personally. He's very weird. I seen him throw people out because they walked in front of him. I don't think that's a person that's pretty nice. He had security, so security would tell me, Chris, please don't walk in front of Mr. Dolan. He will not tolerate that. When he's in his seat, you cannot walk in front of him.
Pretty wild. But
That is
anyway,
that
again,
is pretty
too much Knicks publicity, man. We don't need to give him any. So the NBA, as you said,
yeah.
you know, one of the problems you think is that the players get. I mean, again, we don't think the players get paid too much, but we do believe human nature is involved. And when you give someone, as you said, $100 million guaranteed, it's understandable that they're not going to put in 110% of the work like they did to get that contract, right? It's just kind of that's just how human nature works. How do you pay your players? I mean, they're getting
Well,
money, right?
again,
So like,
we're significant, but that challenge will come later in
I
life.
hope so. I hope
Right,
so.
maybe down the road, which is a great problem to have. But I do think I would probably set up like annuities where they get the money, but later get a set salary at a certain number, and that's everyone that's at that level will get that number, and then the incentive, because I have my collective bargaining already set up and wrote, so they will participate in my rev shares and everything, which is different from overseas. It's really more of an NBA thing. That's what the NBA does versus the overseas. So I could get very competitive from a financial standpoint where it'll incentivize players not to leave, but to stay home in America and play at these leagues. And that's the challenge, right? The NBA is the NBA. They're getting the best. Until I'm at a level, I don't even think about it, right? But, I always make jokes. I said the NFL also had the USFL, Herschel Walker,
Hmm.
Manning, McMahon, Jim McMahon. Like, these guys was top players, Heisman Trophy winners, and they went to an alternative league. That would be my goal ultimately at the end of X amount of time if I was to get to that popularity, let's say.
Hey man, 1/1000th the size of the NBA. I think we're calling you a pretty rich, pretty successful man at that point. So
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about it
that's
yet. We'll
right.
get there. So I guess like what? How many years have you been doing this? What has the recent success been looking like? I mean, you guys are expanding from New York to Baltimore as well. Like,
Yes.
what is going into kind of the momentum behind the Clash right now?
The people, the players, they are overwhelmed with actually playing and having the opportunity. I can't tell you how many play. So we did a combine, right, to just give you an idea of size in New York City or the tri-state area, let's call it. We did a combine, and I didn't know what I was going to get. And last year, 2024 was my inaugural season, so it's only 1 year, and I go and do a combine to which I ended up with over 300 plus people sign up to be in the combine. I only could accommodate 100. So I put everyone else on what we call the draft board. So your name is on there if you registered, but you had to give us your background, where you played, the whole thing. See, there's no agent. See, in typical, even overseas, there's an agent that represents the player. There's no agent. You had to solicit yourself to coaches to get on the team. So, but only 100 got to be in front of the coaches at a combine. Then after the third week, I did another one for players where I allowed trades and things from the teams. That's when trading started, and I allowed for players that didn't sign up, that now seeing what we did, to sign up, and another 100 in like 60 players, international players. I mean, everyone. It was overwhelming, over 500 total players signed up, and I only could imagine this next fall season coming up, I'll have more than that. I'll probably be over 1,000. And that is the biggest challenge for me because, see, the NCAA is basically the farming system for the NBA. But yet and still, let's say two players per team is what you're adding into the NBA every year on average. That's about the number. So, it's not a lot of players. So just think of the pool of players that are super talented left, but they might go to, let's say, China that pays a lot more than I can pay at the moment. But I have no sponsors yet. I'm about to now get all the sponsors. They're signing up to come in for the season, and that changes the business for me, for everybody.
Absolutely. Sponsors bring dollars.
And it's also distribution. So we have Clash TV,
Mhm.
which you could watch the games on, which we own. But our distribution will probably be on another channel, or like, I think I want to go non-traditional because I don't believe my audience is at home watching TV. I want them to watch it on whatever app they use or are familiar with. So I think X right now is a great place for sports. I spoke to some senior people over there, and they're very interested in what we're doing, and hopefully they want to finish up. They're dealing with some of the LA fires, so that kind of slowed me down. But hopefully everything's good with that for them and all the other people in LA with that, which is crazy in itself. So yeah, X is definitely Amazon is definitely in the space of what I'm looking for. YouTube is in the space where we could get distribution from them and now get a really broad audience. And I know when people see the game, they're gonna love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, make it affordable, make it free, as you said. Know where your audience is. Let them watch it on their terms, how they see fit, and you're just going to find even more and more eyeballs, which is going to bring you more and more sponsors, right? You
Sure.
can worry about the media rights deals in a few years, but for
Right.
now, I think just
That's
just
right.
finding more people to watch,
It's
I think, is
funny you
important.
mention that as well, because even my venue, I don't want it, but so big. I'm from the music space. Me and my brother, we also built out Murder Inc. Records. So at the end of the day, that's we understand concerts. We understand that at the highest level. And one of the things we used to do is make sure that we sell out. So my venue, I didn't want too big because I'd rather you go and watch it on my app if you can't get in, and that creates a demand, that creates that FOMO everyone talks about, like, man, I got to get there early, I got to get in. And sure enough, by the end of the season, we were selling out. Our capacity, we was 110% basically at 110% capacity. So we was overselling our space, but we was still good, and had an incredible time doing it. The vibe, the energy.
Hmm.
If you're a fan and you're there, again, for the love of sports, if you're there, you feel right in the game. You feel like you're part of the game, and that's what I want. That's the street ball side of it also. If you come to Dykeman with me, you'll understand that vibe, that environment that you can't find nowhere else. And you'll be like, wow, Chris is right. This is a coveted game to watch. It's just people don't come out. They don't want to go to the park, or they might be nervous from the neighborhood. But I promise you, you're safe. 35 years, not one incident. It's just incredible environment. And you just come out and have a great time. We have food. You got vendors. You got, again, of course, I'll tell you the things that make street ball the park. Cannabis being number one. Smoke. They're smoking like you wouldn't believe the amount of smoke you see right over the game, like in the stands, is unbelievable. That's number one. Then you have what we call nutcrackers. There's liquor that is made, like different drinks that is being sold. You have empanadas, you have shrimp. Everything is there in the park like you're in the garden. All types of foods. And they'll come, waitresses come around, they're selling it, and vendors are selling it. This is again, it's no place like this. And I've been to all the games from the Drew League in LA. It's nothing like what we do here. Nothing.
That is awesome, man. Yeah, you're getting me all excited. I might have to
You
take you up
have
on that
if
offer
you're a,
this
if
summer.
you're a basketball fan, you have to do it.
I
It's
love it.
put it on your bucket list and let me know. Give me a call. You'll be my guest. We'll put you right in the front. You'll be right in the heart of this chaotic, this controlled chaos. Let's call it.
Yeah, that is my favorite kind of chaos.
Yeah.
Organized chaos. That's my favorite, man.
Organized chaos.
Oh,
That
that
is
is
exactly what I want. I received it in my CPL. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better inaugural season. The players overwhelmingly, my coaches unbelievably. When I hired my coaches, let's say that I had 8 coaches, it's 8 teams, and I told them I'm not hiring. I had 46 coaches to choose 8 from. And I told him, I'm not hiring any coach because you're a great coach. So technically, I own every team. My group, we own every team to start. I said, I'm hiring you because I need my cooperation. Number one, that means helping me with my players to get what I want to get the message across, to make sure this is a professionally run league. You're getting fined if you're late. You're getting fined if you get texts. Everything I put in place, right, for coaches as well. And it was three coaches, one head coach, two assistants. And they all paid. All was paid, and that was the big deal. And I told them, and the 8 coaches I picked, I don't think I could have did a better job. These guys were incredible. They are characters all in itself. They are must see TV also. Like you have to, you're tuned in on them going crazy on the sidelines. You have guys that are very cool and low key, like a Phil Jackson, like Zen. Then you have these guys that are super charismatic, like a twin and Ra. Like you have this, and they're so knowledgeable of the game, the rules. They're yelling at the refs because they're missing calls. It's pure entertainment, pure fun. And I want to make it where you bring your family, your kids, and you come in controlled chaos. They're gonna have such a great time. And that's what we had. I can't, like I said, I'm gonna knock on wood right now because I couldn't ask for a better inaugural season, man.
Good for you, man. Kudos and congratulations.
Yeah.
On that note, how are you trying to lean into the personalities of the players, as you already said, the coaches? Are you trying to lean into that aspect just to kind of drum up just more on social, more throughout, just to kind of
Absolutely.
extra storylines?
So I'll give you what I did for Zion Styles. He's our MVP. He's the one that was averaging over 27 points.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Zion. Amazing talent. 24 years old. If you let me tell the story, if I put Zion and took a trainer and just took him away, he played in a school, Maryland, East Maryland, D1 player. He's prolific scorer. He's a two-way player, 94 feet, offense, defense. I mean, super athletic, dunks like you wouldn't believe, shoots the three, mid range. There's no way you couldn't tell me he shouldn't be in the league, in the NBA. See, this is going to be also a cedar system for. I'm already talking to GMs just to give my kids an opportunity. Don't care if you take them, but give them a real look because I know talent. I've dealt with a ton of NBA players in my career as managers, so I'm very versed in the quality training. If I took these kids and took the 2K from them so they started really practicing, I could only imagine how good he would be moving forward. But again, I took him, he didn't even start on the summer league teams, okay? Now I see the kid in the summer leagues because we film it on Class TV. And when I tell him I want to do one on one with one of the better players, Day Day Riches, who's another professional. He should be in the NBA. He's that good. I mean, and you could tell because they get to their spots, they shoot it in rhythm. That's the difference between, let's say, a street baller and a professional. A street baller is just he's out there helter skelter, running around, gets buckets, but he might have got lucky for that. But these guys know how to get what they want, either from moves, get to their spot, shoots, dunks, and they have the full mid range, 3-pointer. They have the whole gamut of weapons, and they pick you up 94 feet, both him and Day Day. So when I told Day Day I'm going to put you against Zion, he said, Zion. He was like, okay, one on one. I had Tracy McGrady come out because Tracy McGrady, shout out Tracy McGrady. He started the OBL league, which is a one on one league, and I told him I would never do a one on one without inviting him out to participate. And he also had Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics, so they came out to watch these games, my one on ones. I did 3. Zion being the highlighted game and Day Day, and Zion. I never seen in a one on one someone get dunked on which the guy in your chest in a one on one. And he did that. The crowd went crazy. I mean, it was a viral moment for us. But that was the beginning. See, I only say that because I highlighted him. All these coaches was making him come off the bench for their teams in the summer. He wasn't even a starter. But it's like now he comes in with that under his belt. Then he's the MVP of the league. And if you're the MVP of the games, I send you a couple extra dollars. Coach you the game. I give you a couple extra bucks. Everything is incentivized to make you better or go harder. And out of the 7 weeks, he won 5 MVPs for his team, and it was a natural fit for MVP. No one was even close for that. And he was the hot leading scorer again. Steals, he was number 2 in steals, assists. He had the whole his. If he was a fantasy player, you
Hmm.
did well.
Love it.
And sure enough, but he's that good now. And in this summer, I promise you, he's not only gonna for the summer ball, he's not only gonna be a starter, but he's also gonna make money. They're gonna have to pay him to play for his whatever team wants him. So I just changed his whole trajectory
I
with
love it.
what I just did for him.
Well, appreciate you give him the opportunity, right? Him and many of the other players, as you said. At least you're giving him an opportunity to do the work, get out there, and make a couple bucks. I think that's
And
awesome,
for
man.
me, even more importantly, he's a great person. Like he's a great kid. Man. He's 24 years old. He's a great kid. Very respectful and very confident in his ability because they come at you. If you go
Hmm.
to these games, they're coming at you. He didn't back down. He didn't cower from any challenge. He stepped up to the plate, and that is what you need. I've seen NBA players come to the parks and cower. So, because that's how aggressive it is out there. I love to give the story of Baron Davis. That's my guy. Baron Davis comes to play for me at Rucker Park, and he was extremely nervous because he heard about Rucker Park. This is All-Star Baron Davis in his
Hmm.
day, right?
Yep.
This is before the Knicks. This is in his heyday. This is Hornets Baron Davis with the bounce and everything. I tell him come play for Murder Inc. He comes out and he says, "Chris, I gotta go to the park." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I gotta go into the park. It's late at night. It's like 12 at night, 1 o'clock. We're in Rucker Park. He's putting up shots for the next day, because he plays tomorrow." And he was that nervous. And if the players that played in these parks would come and tell you the excitement, like that's the story I never hear really told from these players. They all have the same story: how nervous and excited they were to play. Kobe Bryant is my pinnacle. He played for Murder Inc. He came out after winning 5 championship rings. He comes to the park to play for Murder Inc. He told me it was one of his best days ever. Now we can't verify it because of that, but I always used to make jokes because I said I'm the only coach that coached Kobe except Phil Jackson. I have his sneakers signed in a
Hell
box.
yeah.
I have a video of him lacing them up and everything because he came to the park with no sneakers to play basketball. I said, "Kobe, what the fuck? Like, how do you don't have sneakers? Are you crazy?" And he's like, "Man, I forgot." And the backstory is he was just signed his Adidas deal at that time. I sent my intern that worked for me to go buy sneakers, and they couldn't find anything but these Nikes, these like Uptown Nikes in his size. I think his size was 16, and that was the only sneakers they had. I said, "Kobe, look, I'm sorry. I know you got a D's, but this." He said, "I don't care. Give me that." Put them right on, laced them right up. He's like he's playing. He was so excited, and he did amazing things on the court that day. He did street ball things, like he let you know how good he is, right, as a player.
One of the best, man. And I feel like
One of the best, absolutely. The black.
the intensity, as you said, like the nervousness that comes from the NBA players that comes is probably mirrored from the street ballers, right? The people that play on this court every day. When they see someone like Kobe or Baron Davis, I think KD went there a couple years ago. Like
Sure.
their game, they're doing everything they can to step up their game because they know more people are watching. There's
Yes.
cameras everywhere. They don't want to get caught on a poster, right? So they're
Right.
doing what they can too. So I can
Yeah.
understand why these NBA players might get a little butterflies in their stomach because they don't really know what's coming, man.
Steven Jackson said something, and he's right. He said there's a difference between a basketball player and a hooper. Like he said, he's a hooper. Like Kevin Durant, the names I mentioned, hooper. Like I brought Kevin to Rutgers and Dykeman, 66 in
Hmm.
Rutgers, 47 in Dykeman. Like he was coming over half court shooting. You couldn't do anything with him, and he's a 7-footer. And it was triple teaming him. And he grabbed the mic from the announcer and said, "I thought this is New York. What's all these double and triple teams?" He wanted to score 100.
That's awesome.
He wanted to score 100 points. But incredible. Sorry, my dogs are barking. It just have someone at the door. But yeah, incredible time with everything. And sure,
All good. Hey, I bet you are great dogs, so it's okay.
yeah,
They're just making an appearance. It's all good.
yeah, they wanted to get their voice on.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, but they're good. It's my daughter. I know she's. But at the end of the day, great time, great players that come through. I mean, there are names that I brought through, even Allen Iverson, Steve Francis in their heyday, Vince Carter. And it gave what I love is it gives the player, like the street baller that may never get to the
Mm-hmm.
league or anything, get an opportunity to play against them. Brandon Jennings came out for DeMar DeRozan. They came out like for a game I did set up for an East West game. And there's a guy named Adris. We call him Too Hard to Guard. He got the best of Brandon Jennings that day. They was going back and forth, but that's what the street game is all about. A Butter played against Vince Carter. Now he didn't get the best of Vince, but it was a stalemate. Vince had 62, he had 61. And it's something that now is like his highlight of
Mm-hmm.
his, this is what they did. I mean, that game was amazing. So these are the stories that come out of the parks that, again, that's why it's one of the most coveted games to watch.
I love it.
And I'm a morph between NBA and street ball and international ball. It's like all twisted in one because I could create that swirl, that flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've done with the CPL and the expansion. We mentioned expansion, like Baltimore. Baltimore is a basketball city. We do tournaments, New York versus Baltimore, every summer. See, this is something that people don't know. They have incredible players. Kevin Durant, Baltimore. Carmelo Anthony, Baltimore. Sam Cassell, one of my dear friends, Baltimore. Like, you can't talk about Baltimore. Steve Francis is from Maryland. He's from the PG County, which is right outside of Baltimore. So they have an array, and there's more players. I just can't remember all of them from out of Baltimore, but those names alone is incredible. And those guys really play basketball out in Baltimore.
That's
So
awesome.
for me, New York, with your song, if you can make it in New York, you make it anywhere. So me proving out New York, I could only imagine what I could do in Baltimore. I know they don't like the Wizards. Very important. They don't have a sports team. They're an incredible sports city. They have the Baltimore Ravens that just lost, but they do have the Ravens, but no basketball. So I have the endorsement already. See, it's not. I know I have the pool of players has to be the number one reason. I know I have that because those players just like I have the tri-state. They have their DMV, which is Virginia, DC, Maryland. That'll come out for Baltimore. What else I have is, which is even weirder or even better for us, the governor. I have the mayor, right? They are so amped about me coming into Baltimore through some relationships, some sponsorship people that I have out there. They're gonna welcome me in with wide open arms. Where you come to New York and it's man, you gotta fight for everything in New York. It's a totally different environment, and that's the growth expansion. Imagine I look at my businesses. I have, let's call it 80, 10 players per team plus coaches, another 12, 92. Let's call it, I mean 90, 90, 100, 104. Okay, threes 24 times 8 and 80. So 104 micro influencers per market. There's no way I can't go viral. There's no way I won't be able to blow this up from a marketing standpoint. Once I raise the money, the capital, it's a lot that goes into me thinking of this business and why, and that's one of the main things for me. It's like I will have so much power. I could actually become a marketing firm when I get 10 teams, 10 markets. I could go tell any brand and say, hey, you want to be big over here? You come deal with me. I could hit you in all these markets. One, two, three. Because inside of my contracts, I also added they have to promote,
Mm-hmm.
right? I know that this is my problem. Like with the players, I need cooperation from the players as well. You have to promote. So marketing is a big deal. They have to post about the games, you know. and that leads to bigger and better marketing deals, which leads to them making more money. So I'm trying to explain it to them from business, so they understand why they should want to do it without worrying about it, and it's only going to make them make more money. In the beginning, I need the most cooperation. You help me now, you get the best deal. You don't
Hmm.
help me, I'll do it on my own, and I'm gonna give you a shitty deal because I'm doing it without you.
There you go. I
So
love it,
I'm
man.
making sure they understand. I'm gonna eat what you kill, guys. If they do what they need, they will get rewarded from the revenue that comes. Period. Point blank. And I have all my partners that understand that and love it. So it's not like I'm a one. It's just my word. No, my partners. I have partners. They understand what I'm doing. We agree, and then I'm implementing.
I love it, man. This is you're playing chess, man. You're playing chess. Everyone else is playing checkers. So kudos and
I'm trying
congratulations.
my best, man. I'm trying.
I
I'm doing what
I
I
love
can.
it. I'm always for a new league. I'm always for players getting an opportunity for being able to make a couple bucks doing the thing that they love, right? Because most go to college and it's over. You know, they're
Yes.
told it's over, and it's
Are you a
unfortunate,
Knicks
right?
fan?
No, not really.
Okay.
Why?
Because
You want to go? You want to go
I
sit on
only
this?
ask that because when you say that, right? I sit there and say John Starks. He was working at a supermarket. Think about it. He was in the supermarket.
Hey, man.
John Starks was in the supermarket and gets called up. White, what was his Whitehead from Miami, the center. Same thing. You know, there's stories in the NBA, so that's how hard it is for the NBA because you might get skipped over even though you have the talent. So just because you're in the NBA doesn't mean you're the best talent. And that's why I said I had NBA players come in. I won't say their names. I don't like embarrassing people, but I had them come into the parks and get their hands handed to them, and they don't want to come back. I understand that. You know, I would love me personally, uh, Stefan, to come out and play a game in the park. Why? The parks we have guards. We don't have bigs. I don't have no one for Kevin Durant. 7 foot. I got 6'9" and down. I could deal with, and that's what I would tell all we because I would do this for money with other people. We bet Barron and I have done many East West games. He is not won yet. And again, I told him 6'9" and down. I'll deal with you. Don't bring 7 footers into it. We don't have 7 footers available. They're playing overseas somewhere, or they're making money. But 6'9" and down, I could find players that we could deal with pretty much anyone you bring into the park. And I've done it year after year after year. Like I said, I'm 42 years inside of street ball. It's a long time, man. Helped build out Rucker with Greg Marius, which was number one, and helped build out Dykeman, which is number one today.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
kudos on all that, man. It sounds like an incredible life, an incredible story. Where can we find more about the league, though? I want people to go check out the league. What are some places we
You
can
know,
go if we want to watch it, if we want to hear some about the viral moments, all that stuff?
yes, first we have our website, which is Clash TV app. You go to, not the website, sorry, the Instagram pages, all our social media handles, Clash TV app, spelled out just like that. And in our app, our website is Clash without an A, CLSH.TV. And that's our website, which gives all the background information on everything we're doing.
Beautiful, man. I'll make sure to put all that in the show notes. But Chris, this has been absolutely fantastic. I appreciate all the stories, the reminiscing,
Yeah.
all the great shit you got going on, man. One more time,
Man,
Chris
thank you.
Gotti
I
Lorenzo, of
appreciate being
course,
on.
man.
Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. One more time, co-founder of Clash TV, founder of the Clash Pro League. Get ready, it's coming, whether
It's,
you like it or
that's
not.
right. That's right. Here
I
we are.
I love it, man. Good stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time, Chris. I appreciate it. Time's the only thing we don't get more of. I appreciate the audience for giving us a little bit of their time as well. But other than that, hope everyone
Yeah.
has a great rest of your night. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.